Sure.
Here's section 1 of the script. Minimum 500 words, focused, to the point, high quality, no repetition or filler. I was never close to my dad growing up. After the divorce, he became a stranger. I shared a house with every other summer. But after college, when money was tight and rent was out of reach, I moved in with him temporarily. That's when I met her, Sierra. His new girlfriend. She was everything my mom wasn't. Young, vibrant, always smiling like she knew something the rest of us didn't. From the second I saw her, I knew she was trouble. She had this way of looking at you, eyes lingering just a second too long. I chalked it up to nerves. Maybe she was just trying to be friendly. Maybe. But the first night, I came home late from a friend's place and found her in the kitchen wearing one of my dad's oversized shirts with nothing underneath. That's when I knew she wasn't just trying to be polite. She smirked when she saw me. No shame. Just held her glass of wine and asked how my night was. I mumbled something and went straight to my room. Over the next few weeks, little things piled up. She'd compliment my haircut or comment on how I'd filled out since moving back. She started asking me to help her with little tasks, reaching something off a high shelf, showing her how to use the TV apps, pretending not to know how the coffee machine worked just so I'd stand behind her. I tried to laugh it off, but something about the way she'd press against me, accidentally, or how her hand would linger when she passed me a mug, none of it felt accidental. I told myself I was imagining it. My dad was happy, happier than I'd seen him in years. Sierra cooked for him, laughed at his dry jokes, made him feel young again. I didn't want to ruin that. I kept my head down, avoided being alone with her, and buried myself in job applications and part-time shifts. But then came the gym incident. I had just gotten out of the shower, towel around my waist, walking back to my room. I didn't know she was home. She stepped out of the guest room at the same moment, holding laundry. Her eyes went straight to my chest, and she smiled. Too slow, too confident. "You've been working out," she said, biting her lower lip slightly before walking past me. That night, I didn't sleep. I tried to talk to my dad, vaguely, about how things were at home. He brushed it off. "She's just friendly," he said. "Don't be weird." So I stayed quiet. But the silence got heavier. I started seeing her in my dreams. When I'd come home late, I half expected her to be waiting for me. I hated that I liked the idea. I hated that I wanted her to push it further. I hated knowing I wouldn't stop her if she did. And worse than all that, deep down, I knew she knew it too. Let me know when you're ready for section 2. Absolutely. Here's section 2, a direct, tightly written continuation, no repetition, 500 plus words as requested. She didn't stop. If anything, she got bolder. One afternoon, I found a note on the bathroom mirror in her handwriting. "You smell better than your cologne." No name, no explanation, just that. I stood there staring at it, heart pounding, wondering if I was losing my mind or if she'd actually written it for me. I never asked. I just threw it out and kept quiet. But the damage was done. My thoughts weren't innocent anymore. Later that week, Dad had to travel for a 2-day conference. Sierra stayed behind. That evening, I came home to find her stretched out on the couch, wine in hand, wearing a tank top that didn't even try to hide what it shouldn't. "Movie night?" she asked, like it was the most normal thing in the world. I should have said no. I should have gone straight to my room. But I sat down. It started innocently, some old thriller playing, a bowl of popcorn between us. But she kept shifting closer. Her thigh brushed mine. I moved slightly. She didn't. Eventually, she placed her hand on my knee. Not in a friendly way.
She didn't look at me.
Just kept watching the screen like nothing was happening. "I don't think he notices me anymore," she said, barely above a whisper.
I knew who she meant.
"He doesn't even look at me the way you do." I froze. My breath caught in my throat, and I couldn't answer. Then she turned and looked me dead in the eye. "Do you think I'm wrong for wanting to feel wanted?" I should have stood up. I should have left the house. Instead, I kissed her. It was quick, clumsy, heat of the moment, driven by weeks of buried tension. But it happened. And the second it did, I felt the weight of it hit me. She looked at me with a twisted half-smile, not shocked or ashamed, just satisfied. Like she'd won something. I pulled away. "This is a mistake," I muttered.
She didn't disagree.
She just stood up, collected her wine glass, and left the room. The next few days were silent.
She didn't say anything.
I didn't either. I avoided her, stayed out late, left early. But she didn't let it go. I started getting late-night texts from a blocked number. Just words like "thinking of you" or "still taste you." Sometimes a picture of her bare legs under the sheets. No face, but the message was clear. I deleted them. Every time. But I read every single one. The house felt too small. Her footsteps down the hall made my stomach turn. I couldn't focus. My dad came home and didn't notice a thing. Sierra was perfect around him. Laughing, affectionate, everything she wasn't when they were alone. One evening, she cornered me in the laundry room. No one else was home. She leaned in close, whispered, "You liked it. Don't pretend you didn't." Then she kissed my neck and left without waiting for a reaction. I stood there, fists clenched, heart racing, furious with myself. Because she was right. Let me know when you're ready for Section 3. Here's Section 3. Sharp, clean, emotionally escalating, with a minimum of 500 words as requested. The line had already been crossed. All that was left now was how far I'd let it go. And the truth was I'd already decided. I was just pretending I hadn't. It was a Friday night. My dad left for a weekend golf trip with some old college buddies. As he loaded the trunk, Sierra stood beside him in a fitted sundress, smiling like the picture of loyalty. She kissed him goodbye, told him to have fun, and waved until the car disappeared. Then she turned, locked the door, and looked straight at me. She didn't say a word.
She didn't have to.
I spent the first few hours pretending I had plans, sitting in my room, phone in hand, scrolling past texts I didn't care about. But when I stepped into the kitchen around midnight for water, she was already there, barefoot, wearing one of my shirts.
Not my dad's. Mine.
I stared. She noticed. "You left this in the laundry. Hope you don't mind," she said softly, running her fingers along the hem. I didn't say anything. I couldn't.
My mouth was dry.
My body was tense. Every warning in my head went quiet. She stepped closer. "You've been pretending you don't want me," she said.
Why?
I didn't have an answer. I didn't even have time to think. She kissed me before I could stop her, and this time I didn't stop her. There was no guilt in the moment. No hesitation. Just heat. Weeks of restraint collapsed in seconds. Everything happened fast, but every movement felt inevitable. After, the silence was heavier than the act itself. I sat on the edge of the bed, heart still racing, sweat cooling on my skin. She lit a cigarette from the windowsill like it was nothing. "I knew it'd be like that," she said casually, like we'd just played a game. She always knew she'd win. For a brief moment, I felt powerful, desired. But underneath that thrill was a crack forming, something darker. I didn't want to think about it. I didn't want to feel anything but her. That weekend blurred. We kept going. In the kitchen. On the couch. Every room that wasn't his. Every touch felt stolen. Every breath too loud. But I couldn't stop. Neither could she. By the time my dad came home, it was like none of it had happened. She greeted him with a hug and a drink. Told him the house had been boring without him. He believed every word. And I played along, quiet, composed, sick inside. The worst part wasn't what we did.
It was how natural it became.
We barely spoke outside those moments, but our eyes had their own language. She'd glance my way when he wasn't looking. She'd lick her lips as she passed behind me. It was a secret we both wore like a weapon. I kept telling myself I wasn't the one chasing her. But I'd stopped trying to run. And that made me just as guilty. Let me know when you're ready for Section 4. Here's Section 4, the final part, tight and focused, no repetition, no filler, minimum 500 words. It didn't take long for things to change. She started pulling back. The glances stopped. The touches vanished. No more notes, no late-night visits. She avoided being in the same room with me unless my dad was around. And when he was, she overcompensated, clingy, affectionate, constantly talking. It was like she was trying to erase what happened by drowning it in noise. I should have felt relieved, but I didn't. I felt discarded, like a phase she'd grown out of. I wasn't used to being the mistake someone tried to forget. I wanted to confront her, to demand some kind of explanation, but the timing was never right. Or maybe I just didn't have the nerve. Then one night, it all came out. My dad came home earlier than expected from a short trip. I was in my room when I heard the yelling. I couldn't make out everything, but I caught enough.
Her voice was calm.
His wasn't. Something about trust, about betrayal. Then I heard my name. I stayed frozen listening. Seconds later, he burst into my room. His face was pale, jaw clenched, eyes wild. He didn't ask if it was true, he already knew. She told him everything. Not out of guilt. Not by accident. She meant for him to know. She wanted him to break. You? My own son. That was all he managed before walking out. He didn't wait for an explanation. There wasn't one. Nothing I could say would have changed what I'd done. Sierra was gone by morning. She left a single note on the counter. We both got what we deserved. That was it. No apology. No closure. She walked into our lives, split them open, and left with nothing but the ashes behind her. I sat there staring at that note, knowing exactly what it meant. She never wanted me. Not really. I was leverage. A move in a twisted game between her and my father. And I played my part perfectly. The house felt colder after that. My dad didn't speak to me for days. Then one night, he handed me a check and told me to leave. Find a place. Don't come back. He didn't yell. He didn't cry. Just said it like a man who had nothing left to protect. I moved out the next day. It's been months now. I haven't heard from either of them. Sometimes I replay it all, trying to figure out where it really started. Maybe it was the moment I looked at her too long. Maybe it was when I didn't walk away the first time she touched me. Or maybe it started long before her. Maybe something in me was always waiting to destroy what little family I had left. I thought I was in control. I thought I could handle it. But I was just another fool playing with fire, thinking I wouldn't get burned. Turns out, the worst part of betrayal isn't being betrayed. It's realizing you were the one who struck the match. Let me know if you'd like help turning this into a voiceover script or adding intro/outro hooks for video formatting.